What's up, Gigabytes gamers? It's me, Jon Caspian. Today, John Galvin is on vacation. Mark is otherwise preoccupied, so we're going to talk about something that's very important to me as a tabletop gamer, but especially getting into war games, smaller war games, not just the big GW ones, but effectively, we want to be able to tell people how the heck do they play games, right? So let's imagine you got a friend. They like to look at your models. Maybe you post something on your Facebook and they say, "Hey, that looks cool. What is that?" And you go, "Well, it's Warhammer 40K." You say, "Okay, well, cool. What is that?" And that's the first question they always ask, right? Like, what is that thing? You say it is a tabletop game that I am playing on, and it goes on a table, like you can see in the background right here. Got the Dreadnought, got some other things, Conquest Mini, which I got to show off to y'all later. And so they will then try to figure out how exactly it all works. Now, a lot of folks play video games, so that's super easy. That's not a problem. But how do you explain things on a tabletop? So step number one, I have this cool little bam text. Look at that. Central conceit. So for those of you who aren't in theater, like myself, a central conceit is effectively the thing that the audience has to know that's unique about a universe, effectively. So in Star Trek, you have to accept certain things, such as they're warp capable, which in real life is not possible. There's alien life all around us in our local galaxy, like Klingons and Romulans and all that. In Warhammer 40K, the central conceit is that there's psychic powers and stuff like that. So you have to be able to communicate what is unique about that universe, and that is the first step to introducing a new game to a player. So for instance, Fallout Wasteland Warfare, which I've been getting myself acclimated to, the central conceit is it's in the Fallout universe. And so it's post-apocalyptic, the world is in ruins, everything that you do in the game is based around survival. And so thinking about that, it's much easier for someone to say, oh, okay, so I'm a survivor in this wasteland. And literally one of the factions is called Survivor, which makes it super easy. So that's step number one. Get the person used to what that universe is like. Once they understand what the stakes are, it's much easier for them to kind of get involved with it. So that's a easy step number one. Step number two is the easy actions. So what are the things that a person can do that is very easy to translate into a model? Movement, close combat, shooting, etc. The easiest thing is movement. That's why a lot of games start with that as like step number one. So in this case, in Fallout, the very first thing that they have here is movement. So it says exactly how you move along the board. And so once people get used to that, that's the very first thing that they do. Great. You can know how to move now. Let's see what else you can do with this model of yours. And so then you grab their model, you give them the model, and you say, hey, this is your model, put that down there, and you get them physically doing things. So it's not enough just to say your model moves around. You've got to get them to do the measurement and do the action. Once they start doing things, it instantly starts picking up, because rote learning is a super useful tool. So definitely make sure that the easy actions are done first, and then later you can segue into more complicated actions. So different games have different things that you can do. In Fallout, you have 2 actions, and you can pretty much do anything twice, but a lot of games restrict things such as shooting. So you have to make sure that you tell them the things that they can do right away, and then maybe later on you say, okay, now let's go on to special actions or things that are restricted. Now, certain keywords are important in certain games, so in weird games, a lot of keywords are super important. A lot of different gun types in different games, which adds a lot to the crunchiness of those things. Keep it simpler, because remember, they're new players. They might understand Call of Duty and how a submachine gun is different from a light machine gun, right? But some people may not understand that difference. Get them to do the simple actions, and then introduce those complicated things later after step number 3, which is introducing strategy. So once they understand some basic things that they can do, I can move my dude around a building, and then I can shoot at your guy. So then, once they can start shooting at him, introduce why and how they should do that. So it's not enough just to tell them, hey, let's move your dude and take a shot, right? You want to try to make sure that they understand the ways that they can have an advantage to do that. So in the case of Fallout, you by going up against a building gain that building as basically your cover, and so you don't count that against your shooting. So your enemy then has to shoot at a penalty with you. By saying this, you say, oh, you get to take the barricade and then use that as cover, whereas the enemy doesn't get to do that. And the player goes, ah, interesting. It's not only a game mechanic, but then it's also strategy as well. So once you're introducing those basic strategies to the person, make sure you're then looping it back to the actions they learned before, and that starts solidifying some of those things in their mind. Cool, right? Now, once you get some basic strategies, remember, if you have any questions, please do post them in here. If you've done tutorials for people and there's certain things that you've noticed that people don't really get, post them as questions here and we'll talk about it. Number 4, arranging future games. So you don't want to give the entire rulebook of Fallout Wasteland Warfare. I want to show you how different this is. This is 58 pages. It's not that bad for a rulebook. It's got a lot of crunch in there. There's a lot of different things like quick actions, radiation damage, charging, etc. So a lot of cool stuff, searching, utilizing different special stats. Whereas the getting acclimated is, 10? It's 8 pages. So 8 pages to get started with, and then you do these little tutorial missions. There's 4 of them total. So you can see here, this is number 4. They're all basically the same thing with like an added layer each time. That's a great idea. So by telling someone, hey, here's your first mission, let's play through this, do your movement thing. Here's the next mission, we're adding in ranged combat, adding on one element at a time. That's where the future games come in. So you can tell someone, we're just going to play the basic rules. There might not be a certain set of basic rules that you have, that the game has, but you can tell your friend, this is what we're going to do as the basic rules, and then later on, we're going to start introducing the more complicated things. Overwhelm is one of the biggest problems for war games, in that, 40K is great, and it's wonderful once you get into it, but when you're first getting introduced to it, there's movement, psychic, shooting, charge, combat, morale. And if you say all those things at once, the player's going to start freaking out. There's all these different interactions of what you can do. Like you can move, close to someone but not within an inch because you have to charge within an inch. But you can't declare a charge unless you're within 12 inches. That instantly is going to turn people off. Like I've seen the glaze come over people's eyes. It was really bad at Dragon Con. I had to really dumb the game down in a certain ways to explain to people that your models can do things that a regular person could do. They're just more heroic at it. So that is the 4 basic steps of how to get someone into new war games. So if you want to, I can very easily go back into steps number 1, 2, 3, and 4 and kind of go into more detail. But that is the fundamentals of how to get into it. So one of the things that you want to avoid big time is bookkeeping. And so if you're not familiar with that term, that is effectively having a ton of things in front of someone. And they also have to keep track of different stats that are changing at different times. So for instance, in Fallout, you get this lovely card. Hold it very still there. And it has his endurance, which is his health, right? So that's easy because he has 5 health and you put a token next to it, and that's easy to keep track of. So a player understands, I put a token, I put a damage onto it. However, if you have a stat that maybe degrades over time or changes based on hitting a certain number, and you have to memorize that number, that's where bookkeeping comes in and people start getting confused, especially new players. Well, veterans, maybe not so much. So then if you had your endurance stat that suddenly went down to a 3, and then he lost 2 strength when he went down to 3, and there's no way for him to easily track that, you're instantly going to lose. The glaze is going to happen over the eyes, right? So if you can, avoid bookkeeping. That's why they have, in video games, they have like easy champions for those different MOBA games. There's easy things that you can do to prevent that player from getting that sense of overwhelm. So a really big thing to avoid there. The other thing is making sure that your game is really organized when it's set up for them. So you make sure that everything is laid out, and that as you're describing it, you go down the stat line for this super mutant hound, and you say, let's introduce every single thing and what it does one by one. So you go to a strength stat and you say, hey, his strength is 6, which means he has to roll a 6 or below on his dice. So let's go ahead and give you a scenario that you can use that in. Then you go down to his perception and use a scenario for that, etc., and that'll really help that way. Let's go check some comments. It's time. Time constraints, lasting more than 15 minutes. Yes. So Kai brings up a great point. When you're talking about anything, whether it's something that someone's very interested in, or it doesn't even matter. It could be education, it could be Warhammer, whatever. The most that people are really going to pay attention to is 15 to 25 minutes. At most, you're going to get about 25 before people's minds start wandering. So really, your ideal is around the 15-minute mark. If you can't express what the central conceit of the game is, the basic fundamentals of actions, and then some basic strategy in that time period, maybe you can work on it, because I guarantee you, everyone can do a quick 15-minute tutorial. And actually, I will be doing that tonight, this evening around 8 p.m. for Fallout. So you're going to be able to watch a quick tutorial on Fallout. I won't have anyone here to kind of give the tutorial to, so it'll just be for folks watching. But I will give it in around 15 minutes. Now, it will not be the full rule set, because again, that's 58 pages versus the fundamental rule set, which is 8. Cool. So yes, time constraint is a very important thing for people's attention spans. This happens a lot at conventions, actually. So, if you go to Gen Con and people try to kind of push you through a game, they're really good at giving you exactly what you need to know about the importance of that game. So if you ever go to the Warhammer booth, Dust is really good about that. Any number of those smaller games, they just gotta get that information out to you. It's really good. Let's see if we have another comment in here. No? Hey, Ricky, what's going on? I wanted to show folks a size comparison, kind of going off of teaching games to new players, a size comparison of these Conquest models. So while we were at Gamma, we got to see Conquest by Parabellum, and the models are like a large scale. I want to say like 36 millimeters or something large like that. So here's a knight, and I'm going to compare that to a guardsman. So I think a lot of players know what a guardsman looks like. So then this is the knight from Parabellum, and then this is the guardsman. So that is a significantly larger model compared to that. I'm also going to bring up a Custodes, because Custodes are wonderful. So here is a regular old Custodes, and then that is the knight model next to it. So everyone knows that Custodes are pretty beefy in general in 40K at 28mm scale, and that is the Conquest model. And then I also have an archer that I had upstairs. I forgot to bring it down before the live stream. So that model is quite large. I'm going to be using an airbrush and doing a painting stream on painting this guy. It's very cool game. And the dwarves, I don't think they're called dwarves in that game. You've got to look at our post that we did from Gamma. They have this dragon lizard thing, as well as a whole bunch of different dwarves with really cool beards, and a lot of redhead dwarves, which is very interesting. So that is your basic understanding of how to teach new players new games. What can we talk about besides that? If you want to talk about anything at all, we can't forget our events. We have Warzone Gigabytes, which is coming tomorrow, starting really early. I believe it's a 5-round event. So the team at the General Staff are amazing, and they're putting that on. 64 players. That's really cool. It's going to be packed in the red side. Every single high top table, and some low tops as well. You're going to see the store packed. If you are not a part of the event, you are free to come watch. Just do be aware that it is going to be crowded. The aisleways, we want to make sure we're clear. So, fire hazard and all that stuff. But other than that, life is good. Come watch the tournament. I believe we'll be streaming tomorrow for 3 rounds, and then Sunday for 2 rounds. So you can check the Gigabytes YouTube channel, which is on the right here. You can see that, Gigabytes TV. If you look up that wording, Gigabytes TV, on YouTube or Twitch, you can find our channel. Make sure you subscribe and or follow. I don't know how it works on Twitch exactly. I think you can follow on Twitch. And you can subscribe on YouTube and then watch those videos in full 1080p. On Facebook, unfortunately, it is capped at 720p, which is very unfortunate. They don't really apparently care about high fidelity streaming. They just care that it's conversational. So that's fine. Actually, up to Always skip setup. Yes, Kai, very good. So they'll get to setting up later on, but you want to play several games first to make sure that they really get into, oh, this is what the game is about. Because honestly, some games have a long setup time. Kill Team is not too bad, but a game of 40k will take 45 minutes sometimes. You're talking with your opponent, you're kind of talking about your armies and the things that you've been doing, and you've been painting, and you've been doing all this other stuff. And that's cool once you're into it, but a new player doesn't want any of that extra information. They really just want to be able to get right into it. And beware of conditions. So, we have a rainy condition, so your shooting is going to only be up to 24 inches instead of whatever. So, very good. Thank you, Kai. I think that we need to do another one of these later on about introducing certain specific games to people, because Kai is really good when he introduced the Other Side game. So, shout out to you, Kai, for that. Came on the Giga Rambles. Oh, I got to show you guys my setup here. If I can turn this and actually get my light turned over to see the setup for my Fallout Wasteland Warfare campaign. So I'm going to try to do a global Wasteland Warfare campaign where players can play a scenario and then they can give the results, submit the results to me, and then that will affect my game the next week. So I've got this whole setup with a radar tower here. I've got an oil derrick, and then I've got over there, down that away, is actually Gigabytes, the Wasteland Warfare Cafe. And so throughout the campaign, there's going to be all kinds of crazy stuff happening. We're going to find, or try to find Brother Steve. He's going to be the lone crusader in the Wastelands. So I thought that was a clever play on words. And then throughout the campaign, we're going to try to build up the store, build up the renown, become the ultimate tabletop Wasteland Warfare store. It's going to be a fun time. I've got aliens. I've got all kinds of raiders. Brotherhood of Steel Tariffs. So that's one that I'm introducing. Because it's not enough to just have the Brotherhood of Steel. They got to have the Brotherhood of Steel Tariffs. Yeah, I'm bad with puns about that. All right, cool. I think that's everything that I got. We have Ethereum. We have several other new games that are in stock. So make sure you come to the store and check it out. Got another comment here. Oh, no, that's another gentleman, Patrick, joining us. Ethereum is a cool game. I want to try to show it off when I'm in town next time. And if not, we'll try to do a stream of it anyway. We have the folks from Anvil 8 Games. I want to say that's the one. And I think we're going to try to get them in to do a tutorial stream to show you guys what the game is like. So it's a fun one. Has a cool grid system where you actually get to change the battlefield around as you're playing. So your characters can manipulate this kind of cyberspace. It's very interesting. Cool, y'all. I'm Jon Caspian. That was Giga Rambles for the day. And I'll see y'all tonight at around 8 p.m. for a tutorial on Fallout Wasteland Warfare. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.